And we welcome you to this edition of Night Shift. I'm Eric Lopez alongside Bryson Turner. Coming up, it's going to be the UCF volleyball season is here. A new era coming up. We're going to preview the 2025 year of the UCF volleyball. And I think the theme, Bryson, this year is going to be all new head coach, Matt Botsford. A lot of new faces on the roster. And certainly a lot of unknowns going into this season for this volleyball team. We will hear on this episode from two players that are returning that I think are the two of the bigger keys to the season. We're going to hear from Avah Armour, who you got a chance to talk to, as well as my conversation with Abby Schomers. That's coming up on this edition of Night Shift. But really, Bryson, this is a unique. It's Matt Botsford is the new head coach. He begins the season this weekend. They just played their exhibition match on Saturday night, coming back from 2 sets down to beat South Florida for whatever that's worth. It is an exhibition, but good crowd from what people told me there. What's your thoughts here on Matt Botsford coming over from FGCU and taking over here as the new head coach at UCF?
I think it's a really great hire. When you are looking for how to remedy the issues that UCF volleyball has been having over the last few seasons, I think Botsford makes a lot of sense because he's a proven winner because UCF just has not been winning a lot lately. And so I think Botsford's success at Florida Gulf Coast, he even beat UCF in the NCAA tournament back in 2018. So I think this makes a lot of sense from that perspective to give him a chance to level up and build another program because that's what he did at Florida Gulf Coast. And now it's time to essentially rebuild this UCF program again to be a Big 12 one.
Now, Matt Botsford spoke to the local media on media day. It was about 16 minutes. You could hear that interview, watch it on the YouTube channel on Night Shift as well. It's going to be part of Bryson's preview article on blackandgoldbanneret.com on the UCF volleyball season upcoming here. Now, in previous previews, we've been airing the coaches' pressers on this. However, I wanted to spend more time to talk about him and kind of the state of volleyball here, Bryson, at UCF, and kind of react to some thoughts he had to say and just the overall picture. You mentioned it. UCF kind of tough spot in the Big 12 the first couple of years. I think everybody sees how strong the Big 12 has been from a depth standpoint. I think UCF got caught in a bit of a rebuild after the McKenna Melville era ended there, Bryson. But I think there's some interesting questions, I think, from this program. Matt Botsford said on the media press conference he believes this program should be in the NCAA tournament every year. That's the goal, and they believe they have what it takes. Do you agree with that statement from him?
I think this program certainly has what it takes to do it. I think the problem really is can they do it in a stacked Big 12? That is really the problem. If UCF was in a mid-major conference, then absolutely. And remember, this is the background that Matt Botsford is coming from because he's had to recruit in the backyard of UCF for quite a number of years at Florida Gulf Coast. So from his perspective, yeah, I completely understand that position of UCF needing to be in the NCAA tournament every year. The reality of the situation, though, is that this is the situation where UCF is different now. We're in a power conference. We're not in a mid-major anymore. So while a UCF team now could probably make the NCAA tournament if they were in a mid-major conference like the American, but this time around in the Big 12, that's a little bit less certain. And I think that's really what Coach Botsford needs to figure out this time because he hasn't really seen he hasn't been a part of a full Big 12 schedule yet and hasn't had a chance to really examine that up close. With that being said, though, UCF still has a good cachet with volleyball, so I think he can certainly attract the talent to do so. It's just a matter of can you survive enough in the Big 12 to get one of their bids into the NCAA tournament because, of course, Big 12 isn't the best volleyball conference because the Big 10 exists, but with what bids the Big 12 can UCF get one of them? That's the big question.
I think it's going to be interesting, too, with the way college athletics is and revenue sharing and everything. And you just brought up an interesting point. A conference like the Big Ten, for example, it is not shy. A lot of almost all of the Big Ten schools will be sharing money. Obviously, football, men's basketball, women's basketball. Volleyball is the number 4 sport in the Big Ten. So you're competing with that kind of issues there. The SEC obviously still has a ton of money. They added Texas, who's a superpower from a couple years ago, dominated the Big 12. So I think that's some of the challenges UCF's going to have from a volleyball standpoint. I think the positives UCF has, that venue is a great place to watch a volleyball match. I don't know if you agree with me. You've been to every UCF on-campus sporting event. I would argue that the venue probably behind only the bounce house on a night game in football and maybe men's basketball's arena for a men's basketball game are the best maybe the best event. If you like your casual, hey, I'm going to go check out a UCF sporting event. Like, there's not a bad seat to be found in the venue, and the atmosphere is electric when it's packed. I would say it's top 3 on UCF. Do you agree? Is that on your top 3 there? Where do you rank it?
I think third would be good. Football and men's basketball are great, but are certainly great as well. Though I will say a really good softball game could probably challenge the venue right there. I think you're selling your own sport a little bit short there, Eric. Baseball too.
The reason I sell it short is I think they need some facility upgrades. I think softball needs to do. Certainly the atmosphere in a night game is great, but a lot of people are hanging out in the outfield. The daytime, there's no shade. Volleyball is indoor, which I think has helped the interest of the volleyball program over the last handful of years on it. But it's great. I mean, it's a beautiful venue. So I think if you're Matt Botsford, you got a lot to work with. I think from that standpoint, the question is, can this program consistently win at a power conference? And, I think the jump from the American to the Big 12 was a big jump, as we've learned. I feel for Jenny Maurer, the previous head coach. I think I was on record. I thought she should have gotten another year. I don't make those decisions, so it's kind of irrelevant. It is what it is. It is interesting that Matt Botsford, you mentioned the success he had at FGCU. You can make the case it really all started in 2018 when he brought in FGCU as the 4 seed and knocked off national seed. I believe they were the 13 national seed, UCF, in the opening round and up of the NCAA tournament in volleyball. 5-setter. I was in that building. That was really, if you look at the resumes and on record, that's probably the best UCF volleyball team in the Dagenet era. That was the McKenna Melville freshman year. They had, certainly Jordan Pingle was an incredible libero, the greatest libero in the history of the program. The senior was the captain there. UCF certainly, from their standpoint, would point to the fact that Aaron Olson was injured prior to that match and who was the starting setter, and so they had to go a little adjusted him offensively. But that was a big match for both programs. From a UCF standpoint, I think I would argue, as it turns out, might have been their best shot ever to get to the Sweet 16, only from the standpoint is they would have had home court advantage the first 2 rounds. They would have played Florida in the second round at home. If you look at the years after that, lost to Florida in the second round in Gainesville in 19, lost in the opening round in 2021 up in Omaha to High Point, which was a shocker, lost to UCLA in a 5-setter. Which is probably the second closest one. They were a set away. Remember, you and I watched that match. It was, and unfortunately, nobody other than McKenna Melville could get anything going for them down the stretch. UCLA won the last 2 sets in Los Angeles in that second round, and then 2022, UCF lost in 4 sets to Penn State. I only bring all that up because that's really what defined a lot of the volleyball Dagenet, the great success, but unable to get to that round of 16. And it really goes back to 2018 when UCF was the national seed, but that was the coming out party nationally for Matt Botsford and FGCU. And I would argue it helped jumpstart their program. And maybe without that win, he doesn't get this UCF job. Kind of the old ironies there.
I think that's like the first domino push, maybe I would argue to that. There's a lot of other things that Coach Botsford had to do at FGCU beyond that win in order to get into the position that he is now. But I definitely will concede the point that I think the pushing of the first domino was probably that 2018 win.
You've had a chance to talk to him. You were at the presser as well. What's your impressions on him and what he brings?
I think so far he's doing what a new coach should do. I think, he's really taken the time to settle in. I think he was actually quite impressed by some of the returners that were there. I mean, you talked about Abby Schomers and Avah Armour. I also think we would be remiss to forget Sasha Cohen, who I think had a very understated redshirt freshman season at middle blocker, up blocker. So I think now It's just about adjusting to the program. I mean, it's a big milestone season for volleyball this time. It's a 50th anniversary. So it's kind of funny how this 50th year really feels like the start of a brand new era, even though we're celebrating, the past 50 years of UCF volleyball. But I think that there's an excitement, I think, not just from the fans, I think, but from Coach Botsford as well. This is a huge career move for him. And I think he's ready to take advantage of that.
Let's talk about the roster. What has he inherited? What has he added to this roster? From the standpoint, what can you tell us about this roster? He has some returners, but he's also got a lot of new faces here.
Yes. So the biggest case of new face syndrome is at the outside hitter position. The only returner there is Avah Armour. Now, with that being said, she's a good returner to have. She, led the team with 277 kills last year, 21 aces, 129 digs. She's been a relatively solid producer for her year ever since she was a freshman. Like, she was still getting kills as a freshman right there. So that's a good returner to have and a good leader, I think, for you to have for this program. Joining her, you have Fallon Stewart, a local kid who transferred in from Cincinnati. She's originally a local. She got 200 kills last year for the Bearcats and played in all 29 matches. I could definitely see her factoring in. But you also have Skylar English, who was an all-A-Sun first-teamer for Coach Botsford back at FGCU last season. 392 kills, 75 aces, 277 digs, and 71 blocks. And oh yeah, you also have Reagan Thompson coming over from Northwestern State. She was all Southland second team last year in 2023 as a middle blocker. So she actually moved from middle blocker to outside hitter last season. She got 312 kills, 22 aces, 55 blocks, 293 digs. She, of course, is a former student of the assistant coach, Sean Kirikov, I believe is how you pronounce it. I'm sorry if I mispronounced that. But she was under him at Northwestern State and is now coming here. So connections, the old Rolodex really proven helpful for this coaching staff as they try to refill the outside hitters room. But I think it's a pretty deep room, all things considered. You have the returner, Avah Armour. You have the local transfer, Fallon Stewart, as a young backup. And then you have two other transfer portal additions who this coaching staff has worked with before and has gotten all conference recognition. So I think a very solid job rebuilding this group.
Skylar knows the system well, obviously from FGCU. That I'm sure that's going to be a key. You had a chance to talk to her. You could watch that on our YouTube channel at KnightShift, as well as on the preview article on blackgoldbanneret.com, as well as you had a chance to talk to Avah Armour, Bryson. What were some things you had a chance to talk to Avah about?
So, I got a chance, obviously, to talk to Avah about the coaching transition, which was really fun. There ended up being actually this pretty cool little moment where I got to talk to her about her family a little bit. She's from Manitou Springs, Colorado, and as it turns out, her family, most of them, actually moved here to Florida to, partake and watch her collegiate volleyball career. I thought that was quite interesting. And I thought it was one of the more heartwarming stories I got to see during this fall sports media coverage across all of the UCF sports. So I can't wait for you to hear that.
All right, let's play it now. Here's Avah Armour, our Night Shift interview with Bryson Turner.
So, new coach this time around, Coach Botsford, now that he's kind of been around now for a few months, just what have your impressions of him and what do you think so far?
Yeah, I love the new coaching staff. They're really awesome. I think Matt pushes me and pushes us in a way that I haven't been pushed in a really long time. So for me, that's not only challenging, but also really, really exciting. And so, getting to kind of experience that and being pushed way outside of my comfort zone is something that I haven't had to face in a little bit, and so that's been something that's been an adjustment for me, but I just love the feedback that they give. It's very constructive, and it's always challenging us and pushing us and trying to get us to think outside the box, so I like that a lot about our new coaching staff.
So you got named all Big 12 preseason this season. Just what did that mean to you to be able to kind of get that little bit of respect from the conference coaches this time?
I was really excited. I'm super grateful to the coaches in our conference that see me as that threat. I'm really just excited for the opportunity this year going into Big 12 with our new team and just getting to really, I think we're going to do a lot of big things this season, and I hope we can turn some heads and do some unexpected things. So yeah, I'm really excited. I just want to be able to contribute to that as much as I can in whatever way possible. So yeah, I was super honored to be named that this year.
I know you've been around the block now for a couple of years. You've really seen some of the history of this program. What does it mean to you to be here for this milestone season of 50 years?
Yeah, it means everything to me. I've always said I love UCF. It was not a school that I was expecting to go to when I was going through my recruiting process. But ever since I've been here, I've just fallen in love with the school, the campus, the program, and even just as we've transitioned into this new coaching staff, I'm still just so excited to be a Knight, and I'm so grateful that this is going to be my third year here, and that I've started to kind of get my footing in the program and in the school in general. So yeah, I have nothing but great things to say about UCF.
You're welcoming a big crop of new outside hitters into the mix, whether it's Fallon, Reagan, and Skylar. Just who among these newcomers has really stood out to you? What could we see from the hitters this season?
Yeah, I think all of them are very unique and really good in different ways. Fallon has a really aggressive attitude and demeanor about her that's so competitive and brings a lot to the gym. So I really appreciate that from her. And then Skylar, just an awesome addition. She's really good on the outside with everything. She brings so much power, and she's also just so smart and has a lot of experience under her belt, so that's going to be really helpful for us. And then Reagan is great all around in the middle, the right side, and the outside, so I think having that versatility on our team is going to be crucial, and having kind of a lot more depth on the bench this year, which is exciting for me.
Which newcomer do you think is in store to have the biggest season this year, real breakout year?
Newcomers in transfer or freshmen too?
Either.
I really hope that Skylar has a really awesome last season, honestly. She brings so much competitiveness to the gym, and she's got an arm like I've never seen. So I'm just really excited to see what she does in her 5th year, and I just hope it's really awesome for her and that she can go out on a good season.
What's something that UCF fans might not know about you yet?
Could be anything.
Yeah, anything.
I would say, I don't know if people know this about me, but I have a little sister. She's 8, and she just started her first day of 3rd grade yesterday. And I just love her so much, and just seeing her get to grow up and kind of want to be like me and be like all the other girls on my team, and want to play sports, whether it's volleyball or anything else at a high level, and just getting to see her develop and grow into kind of her own little person, and the way that she looks up to me just makes me emotional. So yeah, that's something that I don't know if a lot of people know, because we have a very large age gap.
No, yeah, I'm sure looking up's quite literal too. Tallest on the team there. Is she out in Colorado?
No, she's here, yeah. So my brother lives in Colorado still, but my sister lives here with my family. Yeah, my brother's older than me.
Oh, that's fun. That's fun. So did your family move here after you came here?
Yeah. So when I first committed in 2021, they just started looking at houses here, and my parents bought not even looking at it. They knew that they wanted to follow me, and so yeah. At first, I was honestly not excited, but now that I'm here and I'm in college, it's so amazing to be able to go home. I'm actually going to go home tonight for dinner and just see my mom and my sister, because I haven't seen them in a good few months, and so that's been amazing, and their support for me has just been unmatched, coming to all the matches, home and away. So
it's meant a lot to you then to have your little sister on the sideline, just all your family here to support.
Yeah.
Did you not expect that to happen? When you move cross country to go to college, it's usually to get away from your parents.
Yeah. When I first was looking at UCF, the big appeal was that it was going to be far away from Colorado. And from everything that I kind of knew there, I was really excited to see something different. So yeah, that was that initial, oh no, why are you following me? But yeah, having them here now is just I couldn't ask for anything else.
What does this team need to do to be where it wants to be by the time the season starts?
Yeah, I think just continuing to compete in every single practice. These girls around me are bringing everything they got every single day, which pushes me to bring everything I have. And so I think if we just continue to push that competitiveness every single day, and continue to elevate and push each other with the help of our coaches, I think we're going to be exactly where we want to be. And I think the limit. Like, there's no limit for us this year. So.
All right, that was Avah Armour talking to Bryson on media day there. I think she's one of the key players here. You mentioned earlier was all Big 12 preseason. That's high on her. She hasn't had a full healthy year so far since she's been here, right? She's missed some time with some nagging injuries and all that, which has kind of been a part of the storylines the last couple of years for this team. Is just the injury bug and kind of been exposing the depth, if you will. I'd like to see her fully healthy. Of course, she is the daughter of a former wide receiver in the NFL, receiver who played for the Denver Broncos as well. It's football season after all, ladies and gentlemen. It's only fitting that I could bring that up. I believe it was part of the Super Bowl champion Broncos, John Elway and company. But can she stay healthy? I think will be a key factor and perform to her level. And I think from Coach Botsford's I'm sure they're thinking hopefully get that 1-2 punch offensively with Armour and then Skylar, who knows the system there offensively. So I think that's going to be the key there on the up front and the forwards. It's in that standpoint. So it's good. I'm excited to see her. She's a key. She's a holdover, as you mentioned, from that standpoint. Now,
and the Big 12 respects her. And the Big 12 respects her too. That all Big 12 preseason.
But she's healthy. She's good. No doubt about that on the forward side. Now let's talk. Tell us a little bit about the middle blockers and what can we expect there.
So Alexia Kuhl was a very major addition last year in middle blocker, but it was only for one season. So now it's time for Sasha Cohen to take the reins, I would say. Redshirt sophomore out of Lakewood, Colorado. She got 184 kills and 71 blocks last year. I think that she's probably going to be a major force once again, but she has another middle blocker that she can be in tandem with, another transfer from FGCU, Ella Chapman. She was all ace on third team last year, recorded 167 kills and 116 blocks. I think that that's a really good shift. I don't know if Botsford's going to go with two middle blockers or one out on the court. Sometimes that can vary. But I think if it's just the one out there, I think that's a very good switch off that you can do between Sasha Cohen and Ella Chapman. And both of them have a couple of years of eligibility still left to go. So this can be something that Botsford can build on for a couple of years down the line. You also have Megan Holland, who didn't get a chance to play a lot last year, but will have good depth right there, a chance for that to happen. And I wouldn't be shocked, honestly, because considering Reagan Thompson, we talked about her earlier, she played middle blocker before and was all Southland second team. I wouldn't be surprised if caught in a pinch that maybe that Coach Botsford might stick her at middle blocker in the event that they need her there. So very solid middle blocker group with the four of them there.
Height will be key. That's always the talk since they've joined the Big 12. Get more height with athleticism, especially at the net, to help you defensively and block some shots. We'll see what they have there this year, as you mentioned, there at the middle blocker. Now, defensively, what are we looking at there? Yeah, Chloe Shear was there a long time on the back row defensively there, graduated. What's the outlook there defensively for UCF?
Yes, Chloe Shear was, even during the struggles, I mean, she was fourth in the Big 12 in kills in digs per set last season. So that's going to certainly be tough to replace. But you do have an experienced player in her stead in Sofia Katsavolos, who I would argue is probably the favorite to replace her at the libero spot. She's out of Tampa, played 18 matches last year, got 89 digs and seven aces. She's a senior. She's got that experience. But obviously, you still have to plan for the future. So the other liberos on the roster, Sarah Mendoza, freshman out of Bedford, Texas. Alexa Haley, freshman out of Naples. So that's right in Botsford's neighborhood. I wouldn't be surprised if he had already had his eye on her for some time before even taking this job. And then you also have Reese Moore, who is a defensive specialist / libero from Franklin, Tennessee. So the libero group is a very young one on this roster right now. And so more than likely what I think is going to happen is we'll probably see Katsavolos get a majority of the reps, maybe even just to start. And then we'll see what happens with the freshmen. Maybe a freshman will start taking some more spots if they really break out. If not, Katsavolos gives Coach Botsford time to really develop this group in order to find out who's going to be the next one down the line in 2026.
Kind of interesting to see how many of the newbies play as the season goes on. How much of this is developmental year, transitional year, things like that will be fascinating there. One player that certainly is excited and looking forward to this season is one Abby Schomers, who'll be one of the setters on this UCF team, playing now for her third head coach at UCF. That's one of the topics I had a chance to catch up with her on Media Day, as I had a lengthy conversation with Abby Schomers, part of her media availability on Media Day. We talked about that and how she's a different player today than she was, say, maybe a year or two ago. Here now, my conversation with Abby Schomers here on Night Shift. All right, Abby, just tell me what's it been like. You've been seeing a lot of transitions since your time here. What's it been like transitioning to the staff?
Yeah, honestly, it wasn't a hard transition at all. After last season, we took Christmas break and we waited to see who they were going to hire, and we trusted Terry and Chris. And once we met Matt on the Zoom, I actually called him a few days later just to get in contact with him, introduce myself, obviously, and all of that. And we agreed on that phone call that we had the same mindset since day one for this program and for the future of this program. And all of us staying loyal that have been here in the past, staying loyal to him and his new staff and his new vision for this program. It was really exciting to hear, and I was very excited to just get in the gym. And we were all gym rats in the spring, and it's going to pay off this fall.
How is this offensive system similar to what you've run before, or how is it different?
It's a lot faster than what we've run before, so that was definitely an adjustment in the spring. But you just have to have that growth mindset, and honestly, you have to be okay with making errors and know what a good error is and what a bad error is, and limit those as much as possible. And our coaches were very understanding in the spring with learning it, and once we got it, we were so excited to just keep doing it and going after it.
I want to talk on the coach up there. Whenever he spoke on preseason ideals, and he wants to get you guys to the postseason.
Yeah.
Is that something you truly believe in? And what is the team chemistry like in order to get to that mindset?
That is my biggest goal, biggest thing for this season, is making it to the postseason and making a run in the postseason, not just making one game, but making a run back there. So, we agreed again on day one that we were going to do this, and every recruit that he's gotten, every transfer that he's gotten, he's shared that vision with them and with the returners. Like, this is what we will be doing, and we're not waiting 2 or 3 years to get in the groove. Like, it's going to be this year. And obviously I know I'm a redshirt junior, but I only got a few years left, so I'm like, I don't want to wait a few years. Like, I want to make this run this year. So, really just being a gym rat this spring and getting in there, and then obviously with the new girls this summer, getting in the gym whenever we can. And then now in preseason, just going after it and not letting balls drop and really having a gritty mindset.
I remember, it seemed like only yesterday you were there redshirting, watching Amber Olsen play. What did you learn from her, being around her, and how do you have applied that to your playing time here?
Yeah, Amber was a great mentor. I was truly honored just to watch her and observe. I learned a lot, and it made me take a step back, because obviously being a freshman in college, you're not in that leadership role like I had been in high school and for my club team. So I really just gained a new perspective of trying to help someone that's 5 years older than me. We're partners right now, so it's how am I gonna help her and how is she gonna help me? So it's kind of that relationship, but I learned so much from her, and just her leadership and her skill set. Just every day in the gym was great, and I learned so much from her.
How are you a different player today than you were, say, maybe a year ago or 2 years ago?
Ooh, good question. I would say I'm a lot more dynamic and more confident. I go into the practice every day being I've done this before, I know what I'm doing, and that's a different mindset than going into practice and being I have to do this again. So having that confidence change was a huge boost for me, and my skill set. Going into practice every day and then games, it really is transferable. Just having that mindset every single day, and it helps me be more dynamic when I have more confidence. So. Obviously, you can always have better confidence, but having that confidence boost has really helped me, especially from sophomore, junior year into this senior year, this leadership role. I've really taken that into account.
If you could describe this team in one word, what would that be?
Ooh, gritty. I'm gonna always go back to gritty. We're in the gym twice a day right now, but you would not know if people are tired. They are going after it and just killing it. Like, I am amazed by it. Even our freshmen, our transfers, fifth years, like, however many years you've been in college, they are just getting after it, and I'm super excited to see us in the gameplay because we are just so dynamic, so competitive, so athletic that we all blend together very, very well, and it's a lot of fun.
What do you feel like your personal strengths are?
I would say I'm a good, calm leader, but I can get on people when I need to, or myself. I can get on them. I can get on myself. I would say, honestly, calm, cool, collected, with a little bit of edge. Like, I try and stay calm as much as possible, but also have that urgency and help my team win however I can. And always having stuff together. Like, I always try to be as organized as possible, especially in my position. You know, I'm thinking about a million things at once. So just always trying to think about the next play, the last play, the current play, seeing how I can set my teammates up for better success and how we're going to win.
Speak of Avah and her growth as she enters this year.
Oh yeah, Avah, she's one that's really impressed me this preseason a lot. She's hitting the ball really, really hard. She's really dynamic. She's really stepping into that. You know, she's an upperclassman now, and she's taken on more of a leadership role as well. And I can just see that confidence boost in her play as well, you know, stepping into that role. She's not afraid to hit the ball, and she's not afraid to go after it every single day. So that's been really exciting. She's one that's impressed me a lot.
Talk about the new faces like Skylar and others that it stands out that Knight fans will get to see this year and remember the names, basically.
Yeah. All of our newbies are honestly so great. Yeah, Skylar, you mentioned her. She's super dynamic, super competitive. She'll put the ball down when you need her to put the ball down. Has a wicked serve, so that's super exciting. We got a few middle transfers, Reagan and Ella, and they're also just closing that block like crazy. I don't even know how they're doing it, but they fly in there and they close that block. So they're super great to have in the gym. And then all of our freshmen, they're just all super competitive and just pushing our upperclassmen a lot every single day.
What is who are the leaders on this team, and what's the style of the leadership from the leaders?
I would say it's me, Avah, Armour, and Sasha Cohen. You know, we have obviously everyone's a leader in their own certain way. I think Skylar's a great leader on the court as well. But us being the three returners that have been on the court previously, you know, we really took on with Matt and the new staff being here, we took on that role and wanting to get this program where we want it to go with Matt and the staff. So we've taken on that a lot, and you know, we're all about growth. I would say us three, we're all reading books and like texting each other and quoting things, and you know, we're all about trying to do what's best for this team, whether that's us doing extra work on the side, like we're willing to do it and do whatever it's going to take to get our team to success.
All right, thank you so much. All right, that was Abby there in a lengthy conversation, part of the media gathering there, and I was really impressed talking to her. Remember, she redshirted, Bryce, in 2022 when Amber Olsen had the great senior year. That's why I asked her about Amber Olsen. I remember Abby Schomers back then, and I'll never forget, I was broadcasting volleyball that season, and Todd Dagenab was the head coach, and I remember, I would talk to Todd a lot before matches, kind of get some notes and stuff for the broadcast and stuff. Remember when Amber Olsen kind of twisted her ankle opening night against Syracuse and came down on the floor? And there was a question whether she would play the next night. I think it was against Kansas State match. And I remember Todd, and I remember because you asked him in the media presser and he didn't want to get into it. So the next day, I remember right before the match, and he's like, look, and I remember he said, hey, listen, if something, I think Amber will be good to go, but if anything were to happen, if she doesn't look great, whatever, we are not shy to play Abby Schomers because she's ready. She's that good. She can play. And, obviously her upbringing, playing up in the state of Nebraska and the travel ball there, I think it proved that. So it was just interesting to me. She obviously came to play with Todd and Jenny Mauer's offensive system, redshirted, watched under one of the best, I think you and I would agree, one of maybe the top three best setters in the history of this program in Amber Olsen. Watched and learned from her, which you heard about in that interview, as well as, and then goes from Todd to Jenny Mauer, as the head coach. And now with a new system under Coach Botsford, you heard what she had to say about it. She thinks that this offense will actually be faster under Coach Botsford's system versus before. We'll see about that. But that's one of the more interesting things to me, Bryson, is players like Schomers and even to some extent Armour on the transitioning from one coaching staff to another and the systems changes from all that.
Well, I think Coach Botsford noticed her, what's the word, resilience in terms of coaching staff changes, because during his talk of media day, he said that Abby was the first person he had a conversation with once he took the position, and he wasn't, and it wasn't, and he said it wasn't intentional. He just knew what she played, but at setter, he said you normally find leadership capabilities, and he said he was, quote, not disappointed. So Abby Schomers has really grown, I think, into a leader on this squad. And I would argue that maybe, like, how we have the McKenna Melville era, I feel like that if there's an era that these past couple of years would be a part of, I would say Abby Schomers is probably the defining player of this last stretch, because I could argue that Abby Schomers has probably been the best player on this team consistently throughout that time.
Had a great freshman year. Remember that? Had really blossomed in her freshman year early on when they got off to a great start and stuff. It's kind of been in a tough spot because there's been so many changes on the roster and the injuries during the seasons. So she'd be playing with a lot of different combinations. Now it'll be interesting. Does she, we've seen, for example, Amber Olsen basically played every set in 2022. Schomers, for the most part, has played a majority of the sets. Played almost all of them in 23. Played a majority of them in 24. Will that continue, or Bryson, is there other setters here that we might see a little bit more of?
Well, there are two other setters that are in this picture. You have Maya Ball, who's a sophomore coming back this time. She played 10 matches last year, so got a little bit of playing time right there. So, should be interesting to see how she factors in to this system here.
Got a lot of playing time late last year. Her father played volleyball, professional international volleyball, so has the volleyball pedigree.
Yes, exactly. So it'll be interesting to see if they switch her off. I think that'll probably be the move, is they'll go with Maya. But they also have Michaela Porter, true freshman out of Deerfield Beach, St. Thomas Aquinas High School native product. I wouldn't be shocked if Coach Botsford this is also a player that Coach Botsford had his eye on while he was still at FGCU. I suspect that they're going to redshirt her this season. I think between Schomers and Ball, I think they'll have setter covered, barring some catastrophic injury of some kind. So while I don't think we'll see Porter this year, the fact that Botsford continued recruiting her to this new job, I think shows his faith in her, and we'll see. And I think could be a sign of things to come later on in his tenure. But for now, I think it remains the Schomers and Ball show like it did last season.
You think that's the strength of the team? What's the strength of the team, you think?
I think the strength of this team is Abby Schomers with the facilitating. I think that's the big thing, is that because you have you have the new defense, whether it's middle block or the back row. You have a lot of new hitters. You only have maybe a couple of returners, at least from a contribution standpoint, like Avah Armour and Avah Armour and Sasha Cohen, I would argue, are the two big returners other than Abby that are going to have, I would think, a big role this year that already have one beforehand. So Katsavolos was here, but she wasn't as big as she was. So the fact that Schomers being the facilitating that she is, if we were getting a new setter on top of everything, I would have been saying this is going to be a rebuilding year. But because you have Abby Schomers, who is able to connect these players together, facilitate these plays, I think there is a chance that should everyone else step up, then Schomers will be a very good foundational piece to build off of.
And those three you mentioned, Schomers, Armour, and Cohen, have been mentioned as leaders on the team, right? From just talking to other players and coach talking about that as well.
Yeah.
On that, let's Let's break down this schedule here. Let's start with the non-conference portion. It gets going Friday night, August 29th, against Chattanooga on opening night. And then they will play Norfolk State on Saturday afternoon. And then UC Riverside on Sunday the 31st, before going down to Miami for a tournament, playing Stetson on Friday, September 5th. The big one against the host team, the Miami Hurricanes, out of the ACC, Saturday, September 6th at 6 o'clock. Or actually, they're not technically, actually, FIU's the host. That's the other arena. FIU's hosting. FIU will host UCF on Sunday, September 7th. UCF will then come home on Friday, September 12th in the, what we're going to call it, Bryson, the Mohajer Bowl, as UCF will host Arkansas State.
No, it should be the Mohajer match. This isn't football, Eric.
I'm just saying, get a trophy out there. Saturday, September 13th, space match. FAU will come in. By the way, interesting for the marketing people. This is an interesting approach that I've not seen before. They are doing autographs, but by classes. For example, for the FAU match, the sophomore classes apparently will sign autographs only. I don't know if that's accurate or not. Then freshmen will sign on August 29th. A little tweak difference there. I'm not sure what that led there. UCF will host Brown on Sunday, September 14th. Bollywood, a night at the Emmys is the theme they're calling it there. There on Sunday, September the 14th in Orlando, Florida. And then a little quirky of a schedule. They're going to play Baylor in conference Tuesday, September 16th, but then go back to non-conference on the weekend of September 19th. They go to Tuscaloosa, Alabama for the first time. They go out of state. They'll play Memphis on Friday the 19th, host team Alabama on Saturday the 20th, before then just going straight out with the Big 12. Your thoughts on the non-conference? What jumps out to you?
I think that this was a absolute genius of a schedule, honestly, from Coach Botsford on this one. I'm sure there's some holdover games probably, but as far as filling things out, an absolutely very well-crafted schedule. You do not leave the state of Florida until September 19th. I mean, that is a really good opening schedule, at least from that terminology. But as far as looking back from last season's standpoint, you have, other than Miami and Arkansas State, other than those two, the highest RPI from last season of the non-conference opponents is 156 with Alabama. And honestly, I actually think that this is a very solid strategy. It's kind of a little bit of a repeat, I feel like, of what last year did, where they started out softer because in order to see what you have before you go into conference play, with a couple of tests kind of thrown in there to get some adversity into the picture. I think in this case, with a brand new head coach, with a lot of new players, I think this is a very safe move to do, especially considering you have 4 matches to kind of get your bearings before you have to go and face Miami. So I like the non-conference slate. Mohajer match will be fun for sure. I imagine he'll be in the building for that one. And then as far as conference, I'm excited to see Iowa State. That match last year got canceled because of Hurricane Milton.
Well, let's get into that while you look up the conference preseason polls. I mentioned the conference will get going against Baylor September 16th on a Tuesday, and then they will resume in conference play at home against Cincinnati on the 24th of September, at Colorado Thursday, October 2nd, 9 Eastern on that one. And then you mentioned it, UCF goes to Iowa State Saturday, October 4th. That's a rough trip. Colorado, Iowa State, back-to-back from a travel standpoint. Host TCU Thursday, October 9th. Host West Virginia. They have a new coach on Sunday, October the 12th. Friday, October 17th, they host Arizona. Go to Houston against their longtime rivals in the Cougars on Wednesday, October 22nd. Host Texas Tech on October 25th, and then go on to the state of Utah. They'll play at BYU Wednesday, October 29th, and then at Utah on Halloween night. And then come home to host Houston November 6th, host Iowa State on senior night November 8th, and then end on the road at Cincinnati November 12th, at West Virginia November 14th, host Arizona State on Wednesday, November 19th, go to Kansas State and Kansas to wrap up the Big 12 on Thanksgiving week on the 26th of November, and then on the Saturday of the 29th. What is the outlook for the Big 12 in 2025?
It's a toughie, Eric. It's a toughie. You got 6 schools ranked in the top 25 coaches poll, preseason coaches poll. That is a lot to have to go against. Now, to be fair, the highest ranked out of all of them is Arizona State at 13. So it's not like we're talking about, the top 10 teams or anything like that. But it's definitely going to be a toughie. Now, the good news is that none of the teams that UCF has to play twice are any of these teams. Iowa State, Cincinnati, and Houston are Iowa State is the highest ranked in the Big 12 preseason poll out of all of them at 9th. So I think UCF definitely caught a break in terms of the teams that they are going to be playing twice. However, that trip to Utah, that's going to be really hard. BYU is 19 in the preseason in the top 25 coaches poll. Utah 23. Both of them projected to finish in the top 5 of the Big 12. The last bit of the season as well, you have Arizona State and Kansas, who are projected third and second in the Big 12 respectively. So you're facing 2 of the top 3 teams in your last 3 matches, one of them on the road. And then of course you have Baylor, the first conference match, 20th in the country in the preseason poll, 6th in the Big 12 poll by the way. So, and then of course BYU is the favorite, and I mentioned them. So it's going to, the good news is they caught a break on the ones they played twice. You're probably going to need to sweep those ones, I think, in order to compensate, because those 6 ranked matches are definitely going to be potential. I would say likelihood that you end up losing those. It'd be good to steal a couple. I mean, you have a few of them half of them are at home. Half of them are at home. You got Baylor, TCU, and Arizona State. So if you could steal maybe 1 or 2 of those, then I think you could really see a case for an NCAA tournament bid, even if you don't go perfect in conference play. You just got to survive through a very, very tough Big 12 and sweep the stuff you're supposed to sweep.
A lot of new faces. The Big 12, Kansas has a new coach as their longtime head coach retired. Cincinnati has a new head coach as well. West Virginia has a new head coach. So a lot of new faces in the league. I think it's a little more wide open there. Yeah, they got to get off to a good start, I think, to have a shot. Again, the non-conference schedule doesn't look too tough. I think that's part of to learn and all that system there. That's probably going to hurt them from an at-large standpoint. I think a middle-of-the-pack finish, Big 12, would be considered, quote, a success. Would you agree with that?
Well, UCF is obviously projected not to do well in the Big 12 this time around. So I think as long as you outdo your expectations, then I think I would consider this season a success. But of course, Coach Botsford's saying like he thinks this team should make the NCAA tournament every year. This program should make the NCAA tournament every year. And I mean, if he wants to do that, he's going to need to steal, like, I think some of these matches against preseason top 25 teams that we're seeing here. You have some at home, so you have a good opportunity to do that, but you also need to really take advantage of the fact that you got really lucky on the teams that you drew twice. Because if you split, I'd argue if you split any of these, maybe Iowa State, maybe a split against Iowa State's fine. But if you don't sweep the rest of them, those are really going to negatively impact your RBI, I would reckon.
Should be interesting. We'll have coverage all year on blackgoldbanneret.com as well as on the YouTube channel on KnightShift. Home opener coming up, part of a busy weekend, Labor Day weekend. Of course, football getting going against Jacksonville State on Thursday night. We have a lot of football preview content on KnightShift as well as on the podcast feed. This coming up as well to get you ready for the Scott Frost's return against Jacksonville State Thursday. Men's soccer has their opener Wednesday night. Home opener, right? And then you got women's soccer playing very well as we speak. So it's getting busier now all together on UCF, and Labor Day week usually is as busy as it gets. Now, one of the big stories, fun stories for volleyball this season will take place in the middle of October on homecoming weekend, as the UCF Athletics Hall of Fame class was announced recently, and volleyball will be represented, Bryson. Miriam Metzges gets inducted in the middle of October, part of a 6-member class. We'll speak for her a lot about her in this particular episode. There's 3 football players in there. Mike Sims-Walker, Cornell Green, and Alex Haynes are in there, as well as Renaya Jones, track and field, and Dexter Lyons in men's basketball. But for this purposes of this podcast, it's all volleyball all the time.
Ariel Scott, not Renaya. You mentioned Renaya Jones. It's Ariel Scott that was in there.
She's not in yet.
You gotta wait a few more years for Renaya, Eric.
When I think track and field, Renaya. But you're right, it is Ariel Scott, national champion 2013. Thank you for the correction on that. What is not needs a correction is Miriam Metzges earning this opportunity. Long overdue, Bryson, but good job by the committee to get maybe fix something that was probably a mistake years, decades ago.
Yes, you can argue that her induction is a correction on the fact that I think she should have been inducted a long time ago. Now, to be fair, the 90s were a very stacked time for UCF volleyball. There was a lot of great players back then. Renata Menchikova, Tyra Harper, but Miriam Metzges, I mean, I will remember talking about her before. She was the McKenna Melville before McKenna Melville. She was in the top 10, top 5 in kills and digs long before McKenna Melville ever was. And her back and forth as well with Emily Kaiser at setter. I mean, it's quite amazing the offense that was able to be sustained in volleyball back then with them and Renata Menchikova and Tyra Harper running around at the same time. So I'm glad Miriam Metzges is finally getting her due. She also had a great run as an assistant coach under Laura Smith following her graduation. So there's also that to consider. And she even took over for a season as interim head coach after Laura Smith left. So very absolute. And she's even still been a volleyball coach down in Hialeah, where she is now. So she's been bleeding black and gold for a very long time. And she has really deserved getting this honor for quite a long time. So I'm definitely very excited that she's finally going to get it. I remember talking to her when we were outside the venue a couple years ago after a match. And after that, I'm like, yeah, she needs to be in. I already knew she should be in, but after that, I was like, yeah, she needs to be in. So I'm glad we're finally going to see that.
Yeah, and we'll pat ourselves on the back on this one. We kind of helped that, right? We've been promoting her among others the last couple of years, but rightfully so. This is not a gift. This was earned, because I think we would agree. You mentioned this is the 50-year anniversary of the volleyball program starting up. Me and Bryson will have an all-century team come out on blackandgoldbanneret.com later in a next month or two on that. Top 3 offensive players, hitters. Let's just say hitters, just for argument's sake. The outside hitters of all time in the history of this program. Tell me it's here. McKenna Melville, number 1. Renata Menchikova, number 2. Miriam Metzges, number 3. I think those are top 3, right? Am I right? I mean, I don't think there's a debate there.
No, absolutely not. I don't think so. I don't think so at all. As for the only other player whose offense is as good as that is Tyra Harper, and she's a middle blocker.
Correct.
In fact, interesting fact, Miriam Metzges is one of 4 UCF volleyball players to get a national team trial. Tyra Harper and Emily Kaiser, by the way, got those as well. So I mean, even Team USA was looking at her. So,
and one of the best two-way players. She's one of 6 players in the history of the program has gotten over 1,000 kills and over 1,000 digs. She
also holds the program record in service aces, by the way, 235 of them.
Well-rounded, and she played from 91 to 94, and kind of got lost in the shuffle. Back then, UCF Hall of Fame, they started up new. It was every 3 to 4 years. Let's be real. It was mostly a male committee that voted and just wanted to get football guys in. We got to get those football players because we're not secure. We're not we're still having insecurities there. We got to make sure we got to pump our buddies up there. And so I think a lot of great female athletes got screwed over, quite frankly. I'm not going to be real kind about it. I know they're going to argue, well, it was really intended to be a UCF Football Hall of Fame. Like, woo. Like, what school does a, quote, football Hall of Fame? Give me a break. It should be an athletics Hall of Fame. So I think there was a lot of issues back then. And there's a lot of female athletes that are, unfortunately, are not in the Hall of Fame today because of that. Thankfully, today's day and age, we have, evolved. Shout out to a Carlos McCants who has really taken this Hall of Fame project and taken it to the next level. This guy is you want to talk about unsung MVPs on UCF athletics that work there. He is at the top of the list up there. All right. Like, he needs to be protected. He's done a magnificent job with the ceremony. And it's, I've been fortunate to go to a few of those the last 10 years. It's got better and better. I know there's big plans moving forward. We're not going to get into all that, but there's big plans moving forward. And the Hall of Fame classes have been much more fair and much more balanced, much better now than I would say it was, say, 10, 15 years ago there. And so a credit to him on that, a credit to the committee members. Now they're doing a much better job. And I give them credit because, remember, a year ago, Bryson, you and I was my criticism was, Mark Giacome got in. He hadn't been in since the late 80s. My comment was, hey, I'm good with it, but let's do this for the other sports, because there's a lot of athletes that got passed over that shouldn't have way back then. And to the credit, the committee backed that up this year with Marion being the prime example.
Absolutely. There are a lot of other athletes. I mean, Eric, and we had our top 100 male and female athletes list a couple of years ago that I think spotlight a good amount of those players. But Metzkes, I think, was one of the more egregious cases. The other one being, her teammate Emily Kaiser. But Metzkes, I think, getting in first makes a lot of sense. She's also she was a coach afterwards as well, an assistant coach. She ended up playing quite a long time, 151 matches played, by the way. That's only one match more than Anne-Marie Watson, by the way. So you modern UCF volleyball watchers, think about a woman that has played as long as Anne-Marie Watson was top 5 in both kills and digs in program history, and she was not in the Hall of Fame for decades. I mean, because I think Anne-Marie Watson, by the way, does deserve to be in there. But my point is, a player as good as her, arguably even better, at least in different categories, and she doesn't get honored for that. So absolutely well done by the committee on this one. I'm excited to see her get the honor that she deserves. And of course, it's in the 50th anniversary of UCF volleyball. So it's great to see one of its, I would argue, its unsung historical heroes get a chance to shine this time.
Part of the Laura Smith era as the head coach. And from what I understand, I've been told Laura Smith might be in attendance for the Hall of Fame ceremony, which would be pretty cool. You mentioned Emily Kaiser. I'm glad you brought her up. She was the setter on that team. You could argue she is still the greatest setter in the history of the UCF volleyball. The debate is Emily Kaiser, Jenny Frank, probably for that top spot. Jenny Frank is in the Hall of Fame, rightfully so. Emily Kaiser needs to be the next volleyball player to get in. You mentioned her stats. She still holds the assist record, which quite frankly may never get broken. So I hope with Marion getting in this year that opens the door for Emily to get in over the next year or two. And, balance out that family. Her husband, Chad Matola, is in. Let's just, let's get the other half side of that marriage in there and call it a hit. But she deserves to be in there. And I want to ask you this, because I had a text message Saturday night from our buddy Trace, who swung by volleyball to help out some stuff there he's doing over there. The guy's work. This just doesn't stop working. Just doesn't know how to take a break. But he texted me because he went to the venue and the Ring of Honor was, as you know, is out there. And he texted me, he's like, is Marion Metzkes not in the Ring of Honor? No, she's not. That was ironic. That was one of the other projects you and I were working on over the last couple of years. That's a work in progress. I guess my question to you is, that's going to be interesting to see. Does Matt Botsford continue the Ring of Honor or not down the road? Obviously, this year, I think it's a lot to ask, considering he's just trying to figure things out here in his first year. But what do you think of all that?
I think she deserves to be in. I think that much.
Well, that's not the question. The question is, do you think Matt Botsford will resume it?
Well, the thing is that if it were any other year, I would say no. But the thing is because he's a first-year coach. But he's a first-year coach coaching in a program's 50th anniversary year. I mean, how can you not honor some of the legends of the program's history in its 50th anniversary season, even if you have a first-year head coach? Now, does it mean that that head coach is going to have to probably have a crash course in the history of the program? Yes, but I think if you're the UCF staff, I think that that's something that you might want. That is something that maybe is brought up because I don't think you can really waste the 50th anniversary. You really don't want to do that. So we'll see how that works out, but I do hope that that is something that is starting to continue this year, so that way there can be some capitalization on it being the 50th anniversary.
You think they might? Oh, I think it's going to be big ass to sneak one in this year. I mean,
it's a big ass, but if you're gonna do it, it's gonna be for the 50th anniversary. And any other year, I would say no. But
when is now they are doing alumni? They picked a match, correct? You told me this. They are doing the anniversary. I believe it was announced recently.
Yes. So the 50th anniversary night for volleyball is going to be on. I just had it. No, all right. It's not on the schedule. It's not on the schedule itself at the minute. It might. I think it's the.
It was part of the promotional, right? Wasn't it like Arizona, something like that?
Yeah. Arizona was the space match, but it was the space match. But I think it might have been. Let me look, because I know that UCF Volleyball posted a tweet about that one. What one there? Here we go. So there we go. Alumni Night 50th anniversary. Yeah, Arizona, October 17th. Originally, the space game was going to be Houston on November 6th. So it looks like that. It says in the graphic, promotions are subject to change. So it looks like there might have been a change somewhere. But originally, it was the Arizona game that was going to be the 50th anniversary celebration, Alumni Night.
But it's not anymore.
It doesn't say so on the schedule page.
Well, you know what might have been? You know why? Because that's the same night as the Hall of Fame ceremony. And Miriam's going to be at the Hall of Fame ceremony, so she can't attend. So that probably might be. So that's going to be interesting how they all figured it. Let those people figure all that out. But that's going to be interesting. Let's just say you're proven correct. They do honor somebody, Ring of Honor. Is it Metzges this year? Is it a double? You do a double dip there?
I think Metzges has to be. If you're going to do one, it has to be.
Would you do her and Emily Kaiser together?
I think Kaiser is definitely the number 2.
That's happened in the past where they've had multiple players, maybe not in the same night, but in the same year get inducted. So I don't know. That's
I think there's that. If you want to make it in honor of the whole 90s team, you could probably throw Emily Bridson in there. I think she's definitely an unsung hero.
They're definitely missing the early 90s. They got the late 90s, mid to late 90s covered with the Harpers and the Benchakovas. You got the early 2000s, the Meg Fitzgerald era covered. You got Laura Smith covered and the 78 team covered. I think that's the only part that's missing in that Ring of Honor. We'll see if they get to it, but more importantly, the Hall of Fame with Miriam Metzges is a big step there. And I think that's going to be exciting. And then you got Emily Kaiser waiting in the wings, among others. Should be exciting there for the 50th year UCF Volleyball. We'll see how that plays out. But it should be fun. I expect a good turnout. Volleyball alumni on that week, whether it's either the volleyball alumni or whether it's that weekend of homecoming for football in the Hall of Fame ceremony. I have a feeling there's going to be a lot of volleyball alums, Bryson.
Oh, I think so. I would say that UCF volleyball and UCF baseball, I would argue, are two of the most loyal alumni fan base. Softball too, most loyal alumni bases on campus, where they show up to games quite a lot. The difference being is that the venue, the way it is as a facility, I think makes a crowd really punch up in terms of the impact they can have in a game. It's only 2,000 seats, but man, you can feel it even if they're not all the way full at times.
Shout out one of the alums, Tanya Jarvis, Bishop Moore head coach. Just won her 400th game.
Hey, look at that. There you go.
She's kind of a legend.
Oh, yeah.
Pretty well.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. There's a lot of UCF.
Did you cover some of her high school teams when because you were, did you go to the rival school?
No, Tanya. No. Tanya is what coach? What high school is she at?
Bishop Moore.
No. I was in Oviedo. I was in Oviedo.
So you went to the Anne-Marie Watson school.
Yes, I went. Yeah, I was at Anne-Marie Watson school. Yes, which
one?
Haggerty. Yes, coach who was headed up by Juanita Hitt, who was one of Meg's assistants.
That's right. Meg Fitzgerald's real assistant. See it all full circle. I like it. That's good connect. Either way, a lot of connections there.
Yes.
Volleyball. All right, last shot opportunity before you sign off here. Give me the thing this season for volleyball. You're intrigued. You're looking forward. You're going to follow closely.
Defense. I think I think they did such a good job in the transfer portal from an outside hitter standpoint that I'm not worried about that. You got Avah, you got English, and if you got to go further down, you got Thompson. So I think offensively you're fine. Even middle blocker, you got some good offense capability there as well. It's going to be the defense that's going to be the issue because you have Sophia, because that's where you have the most inexperience. Sophia Katsabolos only played 18 matches last year. What will you be able to do from a dig standpoint? Because, I mean, look, you can get a lot of digs out of your outside hitters. You can get a lot of them. But your libero is going to be the one that ultimately is able to, really get around the court and really get all that. I mean, you look at who has the most digs in program history. You got Jordan Pingle right there. So I think it's going to come down to what this team is going to be able to do defensively and stave off certain offensive surges. Because if UCF, I think, can get on a surge, I think they'll be relatively fine with what they have.
Well, get going. Labor Day weekend. We'll have coverage for you on blackandgoldbanneret.com as well as on the KnightShift YouTube channel. You can see all the interviews, not only that aired here, but Bryson's interview with Skylar English, as well as the Matt Botsford press conference that took back from fall media day. We'll have volleyball coverage all year, and should be a lot of fun. Of course, football is here. We got a lot of football previews coming up. We got our win-loss predictions are posted. Bryson's really optimistic. That's all we're going to say. Maybe the most optimistic guy in general. We'll discuss that on the football side of the podcast, as well as on the blackandgoldbanneret.com and on the YouTube channel. And depending when you listen to this, we will have Night Shift live edition throughout the season, starting with the opener against Jacksonville State. And then, but Bryson and I will be recapping a lot of the fall sports coming up in the near future. Big matches with soccer is going on. We'll recap all of that in the next episode of that. Until then, for Bryson Turner, I'm Eric Lopez. We hope you've enjoyed this special edition of Night Shift.